Hi everyone! Today I'm going to be doing some art journaling. I just started art journaling this month, so I'm still kind of new to it. I have all my watercolor materials ready, and let's get started. What is an art journal? An art journal is different from a bullet journal. In an art journal, you can have drawings, paintings, along with collages and some writing. You can do art journaling on anything and in any style you want. Mine is kind of like a diary. I like to write about my day and add drawings to go along with it. I've also seen some K-pop/anime art journals. Basically, you can do anything. It doesn't have to be about your day. My art journal was inspired by Dory. I'll link her video in the description. A long time ago, I used to have a journal where I would write about my day every single day, but obviously I didn't keep up with that, and I always forgot to write in it every day. So with this art journal, I'm going to only write when I feel like it. That way I won't feel bad when I forget to write. This video is supposed to be relaxing, so I decided to go outside instead of my usual studio lighting. Outside has a more natural warm sunlight, so it's different from the cold blue studio light, and I feel like it fits this relaxing vibe a lot more. When I art journal, I like to use a mix of watercolor and markers. The markers are really good for fine details, and you can mix them and use them just like watercolors, if they're water-based markers. For those who are new to art journaling, don't worry about getting fancy supplies. I'm just using a really normal notebook. It has thin pages so it bleeds sometimes, but that's okay because I just use separate pieces of paper to put on top. I also chose a notebook that has really light colored lines because I feel like dark colored lines would be too distracting in my artwork. So when I art journal, I like to write about yesterday instead of today. This makes sure that the day is completely over and all the events happen, so I don't miss any events. And I can pick and choose which events to write and draw about. So if there's something I want to art journal about today, I can sketch it out and then complete the spread the next day. Art journaling is really relaxing, especially if you go outside. You can listen to the birds and nature sounds while you're doing art. It can take some time though. My spread right here took a few hours, but I really enjoyed the process. So why do I like art journaling? Well, first of all, I can practice and improve my art. I actually prefer doing my art journal more than my sketchbook. And one reason for that is because there's less pressure if I make mistakes. Since there are many different pieces of drawings on the page, there's so many things to focus on. So if you make one little mistake in one photo, it doesn't really make that big of an impact. And there's also less pressure to make big drawings. In my sketchbook, I would usually make really big drawings that fill up the whole page. But in my art journal, I like to make many smaller drawings. It's a lot more fun to make smaller drawings, and I can also fill up the empty space with words or collages. I can also look back on my days and see my memories. When I used to keep my old journal, it was really fun to look back at the things I was doing in my daily life. Another reason why I art journal is to express my thoughts and feelings. Sometimes I don't write about my day. I just write about things I really like or things that I'm currently into. When I'm art journaling, I like to write later and do my paintings first. This way I can know where I'm supposed to write. I usually write in the empty spaces around the paintings. and I don't want to write first, otherwise my words might get covered up by the paintings. I also like to have a color scheme when I'm doing a spread. To make the spread look good, I like to have a cohesive element, and I will add some brown paper to tie everything together. Both of the tan colored papers and the brown colored papers are made from dipping papers in coffee and tea. The difference is that I dipped the tan paper only for a few seconds, whereas the brown paper, I dipped it for a much longer time, which gave it a darker color. And I'm going to give you some more tips and extra ideas on art journaling with paper scraps, so make sure you stay till the end to see. I can also use up all my extra scraps of paper for collages. It's really fun to do collage in my art journal since I don't really do it anywhere else. When you're art journaling and collaging, it's important to remember how you're going to layer things. You might not want to glue everything down completely. Like right here, I didn't glue down the watermelon completely because I'm going to glue the balloons underneath it. I recently got some new pens. These are brush pens that I'm going to use to practice calligraphy. I'm not good at calligraphy yet, but I hope to practice more inside my art journal. These are some fortune cookie papers that I'm gluing into my art journal. I'm outlining them to make them pop. You can put things like this inside your art journal as mementos. You can put any paper scraps like receipts or tickets. It's really fun to save them as memories and add some collage. When I'm art journaling, I like to use a stylized cartoon style, like right here. This style is a lot simpler, and it takes less time, and I also like doing this style since I'm making smaller drawings. I also like to draw from imagination instead of drawing from references like I usually do for my sketchbook. I only use references in my art journal if I feel like I'm struggling on drawing something. Using my imagination feels more relaxing since I don't have to bring up another photo on my phone or something. But if you want, you can always take a reference photo at the location. If you don't have a camera at the location, you can just look at the colors while you're there. Say the colors exactly as you see them, so you can remember them. For example, for this lake scene, I would say that the water is a dark grayish green color. When you say the exact colors that you see, you will remember it when you come back home and draw it in your art journal. Sometimes it's better not to use a reference if you want it to be more simplified. As you can see, the water looks really clear, but in reality it had lots of twigs, lily pads, and lots of tiny details. But I just didn't add that because I wanted it to look more simple. This painting of the water kind of reminds me of my April 2021 bullet journal, where I did a Venice boat theme, and I was painting the water with horizontal strokes like this. When I'm doing watercolor, I always use the same technique of starting with lighter colors and getting darker and darker. I'm not really good at drawing people at all. I have only started drawing people last year. Before, I used to draw a lot of plants, animals, and other things besides people. But I started drawing people because of a school assignment that forced me. So I guess school is kind of good sometimes because it forces you to try something new. Right now I'm trying to practice and improve my people drawing skills a lot. So I don't really draw that much animals anymore, which is kind of sad. But I really want to improve. Push yourself to try something new and start drawing subjects that aren't really what you usually draw. This is some marker ink that I scribbled on some plastic, and I'm going to use this as some watercolor for making the flowers. When I was drawing the flowers, I made a big mistake. I didn't wait for the watercolor to dry completely, and I just drew the outline right on top, and then the outline bled into the water. That's why you always wait for the watercolor to dry before you do the outline. Or even better, you should do the outline first with a waterproof pen and then do the watercolor on top. That's a lot easier since you don't have to wait for it to dry as long. These are some little gooselings that I saw on my walk. So it's really cool because I did an art journal spread last week where I drew these little gooselings when they were much younger, and now I'm art journaling them when they're growing bigger. So it's kind of cool to see their progress each week as I'm drawing them as they grow up. When you put the marker inside the wet watercolor, it creates a bleeding effect, and the marker becomes kind of soft. I'm drawing the deer directly on top of the notebook instead of doing a separate piece of paper because I feel like the deer is kind of a weird shape, so I don't want to cut it out. This paper can handle watercolor, but it does bleed through. I don't really mind the bleed through because I can always collage over it with another piece of paper if I need to cover up the other side. I also like to glue in some dried flowers and plants inside my art journal. To make these dried flowers, I just put them in the book and left them for 1 week. I don't really use any fancy supplies in my art journal. The only thing extra I'm going to add is some washi tape. Now it's time for the writing. It's the next day already because the sun went down and I wanted some nice lighting. I'm using an erasable gel pen. This has a dark gray ink. It's not super black, so it's really good for these spreads since it's not too distracting. I'm writing in French because I want to practice. I'm still learning French right now and I'm not fluent at all, so I make a lot of mistakes in my grammar and writing sometimes. That's why I'm glad that this is an erasable pen, so that I can always erase my mistakes. And I don't need to worry about making mistakes because this is not a school assignment, so there's not a lot of pressure, and I just write whatever I want in French. As you can see, sometimes I mix up the sentences with a little bit of English, since I don't know a lot of French words, or sometimes I'm just more comfortable writing in English. The pen has some problems with the ink flow, and that makes me write slower sometimes, but that's actually kind of good since I can focus more on handwriting. Another reason why I started art journaling is to improve my handwriting. My handwriting used to be really good, but this year I've been focusing more on being fast instead of having good handwriting, so my handwriting became kind of bad. Hopefully I will improve my handwriting in my art journal. Here's some extra ideas. You can use any paper scraps like these outdated calendars. Try using magazines, newspapers, or even a crossword. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.